A lot of what we've talked about to this point is just kind of normal mid to large size US city stuff. And unfortunately, what we need to talk about now is the fact that this city has some of the worst streets I've ever seen in an economically advanced nation. Specifically, I'm talking about the 7's, or the 7th Street and 7th Avenue reverse traffic lanes. Now, if you live in a normal city, your numbered streets run east-west and your avenues run north-south. Notice though, I said normal city. In Phoenix, 7th Street and 7th Avenue run parallel north-south. Don't question it. We're going to start with 7th Street, essentially 7 streets east of Central Avenue. And the way these work is, the cross-section is asymmetrical. 2 lanes southbound and 3 lanes northbound with a center turn lane, which during peak times functions as a travel lane in the peak direction, so southbound from 6 to 9 a.m. and northbound from 4 to 6 p.m. Left turns are prohibited at most signalized intersections, but left turns are allowed at unsignalized streets and at driveways, which, as someone who did a lot of traffic engineering in my actual career, is absolutely insane stuff. Can I just say right off the bat, this is kind of a lot of instructions for people to try to figure out on the fly. I mean, we're talking about a population of drivers who apparently need to be reminded what the meaning of a traffic signal is. So at peak times, the center lane is supposed to be for through traffic, but several times while I was walking the 2 corridors, the lane came to a standstill because someone decided they wanted to take a left onto a minor street, and they either had to wait for oncoming traffic to pass or they had to wait for a pedestrian, namely me, to get done crossing the street so they could make their turn. Really just bonkers stuff. The locals call these suicide lanes, but really the suicidal part is probably just trying to walk out here at all. Because make no mistake, 7th Street is the literal definition of a strode. It's trying to behave like a highway, maxing out throughput by restricting turn movements at major intersections. And at the same time, it's trying to behave like a city street, providing left turn access to all the driveways on the whole corridor. The fact that there are freeways running parallel to the 7's on either side makes it all the more maddening. I kind of wanted to do a whole section here on strode indicator species, like enormous billboards for scorpion exterminators, and I wish I could tell you that was the most disturbing sign I saw on 7th Street. By the way, posted speed of 35 miles per hour. The only vehicle that's going 35 on this street is a robot taxi, and more on that later. You'll have noticed how unpleasant the pedestrian environment is, but the worst part is where 7th Street runs alongside the Phoenix Country Club, which is closed off from the street by a maximum security prison-grade fence that comes right up to the edge of the sidewalk. You can't see into the country club at all, so I peeped the website to see what it looks like inside. Super nice, but I don't think a single person in this splash page video ever walks on 7th Street. Just a hunch. And I'm not sure what the country club charges for dues or what the HOA fees are for people who live on the other side of the fence, but it apparently isn't enough to be able to hire someone to prune back all the trees and bushes. This is like a 6-foot curb-tight sidewalk, but with all the overgrown vegetation, I think the effective width is more like 6 inches. You know, it's easy to say, what do you expect? You're walking on a strode. But that's kind of the point. There are tons of destinations along 7th Street, and a lot of adjoining neighborhoods. Is it really that much to ask that you have a space where you can walk that doesn't put you at risk of getting struck by the side mirror of a passing car? It gets even worse if you actually want to cross the street. This bus stop at Weldon Avenue is a prime example. If you're a transit rider, then by definition, you have to cross the street at least once, either on your way to the bus stop or on your way back from the opposite direction bus stop. But there's no marked crosswalk for about a quarter mile in either direction. We aren't deep in the suburbs here, we're like 2 miles from downtown Phoenix. Super ironic that the bus shelter not only has an injury attorney advertisement on it, but is directly across from the offices of another firm. The whole situation is just so backwards and perverse that I don't even know where to start with it. But 7th Street is absolutely littered with absurdities like this, because people do walk here. You know, I was sort of filming this industrious tennis player trying to cross 7th Street, which predictably wasn't going well. But I always feel weird about filming people in public without their consent, even if I'm really far away, so I just kept on walking. And as I was walking away, I hear behind me, "Excuse me?" And I'm like, oh, well now I'm busted. So I go, yeah. And they say, "Are you CityNerd?" I'm like, yeah. And they say, "Oh, that's crazy. I'm gonna be your thing on Thursday night, so I'll see you there." And my first thought was, what are the odds of that? But then later I thought, a person who takes the bus to go play tennis in Phoenix, Arizona, yeah, that person's probably an odds-on favorite to be this channel's demographic. 7th Avenue, on the opposite side of Central Avenue, really kind of a carbon copy. Exact same weird asymmetrical configuration, same rules. It's wild. It's like the whole idea behind this probably made sense at some point. When you look at pre-pandemic traffic data in any city, the volumes outbound from downtown in the PM are typically higher than inbound volumes in the AM because afternoon traffic tends to have a lot more discretionary trips added to the mix. But we're in a post-pandemic work-from-home world now. Commuting trends we took for granted for decades aren't what they used to be. So you wonder why the city insists on keeping this weird operation when this could just be a much more livable street. It's even more maddening when you find that there's a recent study out of ASU where they collected data on lane utilization and found that only like 3 to 8% of northbound traffic in the PM even bothers using the reverse lane. And why would you when the traffic looks like this? None of it makes any sense. It's the classic prioritizing the convenience of drivers who live further away over the needs of people who live right here in the community. It's just hostile. I've never seen signs that try to differentiate through pedestrians from local pedestrians. Like, that's just pure car brain. You do see improvements, like this hawk signal, and of course, the pedestrian realm is massively improved in the few places where there's new development, so maybe there are small steps in the right direction. They were in the middle of what I assume was just resurfacing the street and not literally decommissioning the reverse lane. And this was getting close to the PM peak hour, but I didn't observe the Carmageddon that you assume would happen if something as absurd as a reverse lane was actually needed. Okay, I need to pause because just remembering the experience of having to walk on these streets just makes me livid. But don't worry, there's more to talk about, and I haven't even gotten to robot taxis yet. Click the things if you're enjoying today's content and connect on the usual websites. Joining my Patreon is cool, but even cooler this week is supporting your local advocacy organizations. There is actually a vibrant community-led effort to get rid of the reverse lanes on the 7's. So if you live in the Phoenix area and you're in favor of streets that don't look like they were designed to promote eternal car dependency, there's a petition you can sign, elected officials to pester, write reasonable emails to, and other ways to help build the movement. Full disclosure, Phoenix is a very easy trip for me because I am living in the Southwest right now, but it also helps that I was bribed by a local advocacy group, the Urban Phoenix Project. And as part of the trip, I did an event at the Royale just off 7th Avenue. Outdoor event in triple-digit heat. The Phoenicians didn't even bat an eye. Anyway, the Urban Phoenix Project does great work, so if you want to support a more livable, less car-dependent Phoenix, consider becoming a member. I'll leave a link to that and a link to the End the Reverse Lanes project down in the description. Okay, one more hit on 7th Avenue. The Royale is in the Melrose district, which is kind of a burgeoning hipster area up towards Uptown. There's been some work put into making it a little more navigable on foot. The city is putting in more hawk signals like this one at Glen Rosa, but this area is kind of the poster child for the absurdity of trying to have both a roadway that's engineered for maximum throughput with access restrictions at the busiest times of day, and a thriving commercial district with the kinds of destinations where you should be able to park once if you have to drive at all, and just walk from place to place. Maybe when it isn't 108 degrees out. But the heat is pretty central to the city's identity, and people are adaptive. Last location I'm going to share, Camelback Road, Uptown, which is where my hotel was. The entire median of Camelback Road is dedicated to light rail, and even given that, the road still has 3 lanes in each direction. Also, the city apparently has budget to keep stroads like this pristine for drivers, but maybe less funding to keep the debris off ADA ramps. So the street environment is wretched.